This video is how to do the figure 8 stitch working in a round. It's also called like a fishnet stitch, I believe. And here's a little sample that I did up so you can kind of see what it does. It has kind of like holes throughout it, if you can kind of see the background. And it's really cool. I worked this on the new sock loom that's out, and I was just doing it up as a sample, but I'm going to actually keep going with the one I have on here now to see how big of a hat it could make, because it's made a pretty good wide brim. But this is all done in minus a little bit of garter stitch at the top. Well, as after I cast it on, I did like a little garter stitch to help with rolling. But this is what it would look like. And I think it's pretty cool. I made a mistake over here, but this is pretty cool. And I just did a crochet cast off with one chain in between for this. It doesn't quite fit anything. Again, this was just a sample. So in order to do that, I'm going to show you using, again, what I said, the new sock loom 2 that's out. I like the gauge of this. It's a regular gauge, so it means I can get away with one strand of worsted weight yarn. It has a knob like this instead of the metal to turn, and again, it's got plastic pegs. But for doing the figure 8 stitch in a round, I've already done just a cast on row. Nothing fancy. It's the E-wrap cast on you see me do in plenty of my videos. So I figured this way we can go right into what the figure 8 stitch is. Now the first thing I like to say again, you have to figure out what size yarn you have to use for your loom. If you're using a nifty knitter, because it's got a bigger gauge in between, again the space in between, you will probably have to use 2 strands to do this with. If you're using like a medium worsted weight yarn. If you're using something like the all-in-one loom in that, you should be able to get away with this one strand as you see me using here. Again, it depends on the gauge of the loom, how many you need to use for yarn, or the bulkiness I should say of the yarn. So, like I said, I've already done my cast on row, and I'm ready to work it in the round. Now again, with this being the sock loom, I could loosen this and adjust it to any size I want, but I wanted to keep it the biggest. Now what you're going to do is you have your working yarn. Let me hold it this way for you guys. And you're going to skip this first peg and go to the second peg. So it's basically like you skip that one, come to the second one, go behind it, and then around the other one. Okay, and then you knit over. Alright, so again, now what this means is our working yarn is still attached to like this peg over here, the first peg. So we're going to skip this peg now. We're going to skip that peg, come over, wrap that one, go behind, and come back forward to wrap that one. So it would look like this on the side. Because your working yarn becomes attached to like a different one. Like if you look in the back, it's kind of coming off of this peg again. So we're going to skip this peg to come over. Let me see if I can zoom in a little more here for you to see what I'm doing here. Okay, we're going to skip the peg that's next to it. We're going to skip this one. We're going to this one. Come around the front, wrap that one, so it would look like that on the outside. Come to the back, come forward to wrap the one we did before. And again, it would look like this, making that like figure 8 stitch. So in a way, there's one peg that technically gets knitted over like twice as you work your way around. Okay, so we're going to do that again. I'm going to turn it this way for you to see. Hopefully the camera's okay. Come out a little bit so you can see. Okay, so we got our working yarn. And again, if you look at where it's kind of coming out from, it's kind of coming out from this peg right here. So we got to skip this peg, the one next to it, to come over to this one. Wrap it around, just like an E-wrap, come back over to come to the forward to wrap that one. And again, it would look like this on the other side. And you can go ahead and knit over. And what that is doing, I mean, it's going to be a little hard to see because it's only the first row, but what it's doing is it's creating those holes like you saw in the sample, like the hole kind of thing. So let's go ahead and finish off this row. You can also do this, I believe, in like a flat panel, but you would need like an extra peg than what you want to use because otherwise you wouldn't have enough to do it. I don't want to explain it all now. If there's an interest in seeing it done on a flat panel, just shoot me a message and I'll probably end up doing a video showing it as a flat panel too. Again, we've done this kind of stitch using it on a rake and it comes out stretchier. It doesn't give us the holes. So depending on how you manipulate your loom with this stitch, gives you a different result. So again, let's go through that process again. Alright, when you're looking at it from this way, you got your working yarn. Alright, you skip the peg that would be next to where it's from. Come around to the second one, wrap it, go behind it, the other peg, and bring it around to wrap it. And just keep an eye on doing that, because that's how I messed up on one stitch on my sample, was because I believe I forgot to go back and wrap one. It's probably when I had to put down my loom to do something and when I came back. So if you put it down and you walk away and you come back, just keep an eye on where the working yarn is the closest to. If it's the closest to this peg, then you know you're going to be skipping this one. So just when you come back from this project, be careful, because it'd be very easy to think that you're supposed to wrap it a different way, and you'll forget to move one over. So make sure that's what that you pay attention to where the working yarn is sticking out from, because that'll let you know which pegs you need to stick. You'll work it all the way around for as many times as you want. And you can do like a garter stitch at the beginning to help with rolling, just maybe 1 or 2 rows, or maybe 4, just to prevent it. As you can see what I did in here, to prevent it from rolling up too much, I did a little mini like garter stitch on there. Or you can try doing it right from the beginning like we're doing here and see how it would work out. But that's all you're going to do for the stitch. And like I said, it creates this kind of cool open type weave. If I stretch it out, you'll see it a little better. And I think that would be very nice for maybe doing as like wrist warmers, or if you decide you want me to show as a flat panel and I'd go ahead and I show you how to do that, you could do it for a scarf. I think it'd be cool for a hat. That's what I'm going to do here, is I'm going to keep going and see what this looks like as a hat for probably a baby, because like I said, this was done on this loom and I had a pretty good size, compared to it. So I think this is a great loom to also do like some sort of baby hats on, because I know a lot of people always like, I don't make socks, why would I need a sock loom? Keep in mind that a sock loom just isn't a sock loom. You can do other projects on it as well. So okay, that's how you do the figure 8 stitch. Let's do it one more time just to show you, and you're just going to work yourself in the round until you get the project down where you want, and then you're just going to simply cast it off like you would any other project. Whatever cast off you normally use, that's what you would do. There's no trickiness to it because of the way you wrapped it. So let's show one more time. Again, I'm looking for where the working yarn is so that I know. Let me zoom in here. Alright. I am looking for where the working yarn comes out. I'm skipping the peg next to it and coming over to the second peg, wrapping it, going back to the one that I skipped, wrapping it, and going like that so that it would look wrapped on this side. And then you just go ahead and knit over. And that's all you're going to do as you work your way in the round. Is remember, skip the peg next to where the working yarn is, wrap the second one, work your way back. That's all you're going to do. And it works up pretty nice and pretty fast depending on things, so go ahead and have fun with it.